This is a Catfish slip bobber, and I'm gonna show you how to tie it. So what I'm gonna be using all the stuff from is my KG catfishing kit. And what I like about it, on the inside, it has a cheat sheet for this exact rig, the bobber rig. So we're gonna be following it. But first thing you're gonna do, boom, pull out your main line. And our first step is gonna be using some kind of bobber stop. In our kit, we have these right here. These are real simple. Watch this. You'll just put your line through one of the hoops, pull a good amount of line out, and then you're just gonna pull that loop out onto the line. And then boom, that bobber stop is on your line. Next, it says we're gonna get a bead. So we're gonna get a bead. We're gonna thread that on there, just like that. Next is gonna be the slip bobber itself. Now there's a bunch of different kinds of slip bobbers. This one's kind of, I'd call it a subcompact slip bobber. I don't know. This is about one of the smallest catfishing slip bobbers you can get, but by golly, you can get them 2 foot long just cause, I guess. I don't really know. The bigger they are, the further you can cast them, but depending on what your rod setup is, this is what I like. I'll just say that. But we're gonna start with the orange part is the tip. This one happens to be weighted, so down here is the bottom, and it can't be reversed. So I'm just gonna slip it through that top end, slide that line all the way through. And once we get this done, I'm gonna tell you how to fish the slip bobber and why people like it so much. If your line gets stuck, because sometimes it will, just go ahead and spin it a little bit. Sometimes that'll straighten it up, and there it pops right out. The longer the slip bobber, the harder that'll be, but it still ain't too bad. Next up, we're gonna go with an egg weight. This kit has a few different weights. I'm gonna go with the smallest weight, which is actually 1/8 of an ounce. And I'm just gonna slide that egg weight on there just like that. From there, I'm gonna put on another bead. This is to protect your knot, because after that, you're gonna be tying on a swivel. Now this one happens to be a snap swivel. It's a heavy duty snap swivel, but if you don't want the snap part, you can always take it off and boom, you have a normal swivel. From here, you're just gonna tie a fishing knot. I use the fisherman's knot or the improved clinch knot. It's also on the top of the box if you want to look at that and see it real quick. Right there you might be able to see something. But that's the knot I'm tying. That's the knot I really like. It holds for me good and I ain't had any problems with it. So I'm just going to tie that one up right there, boom. Pull that tight. And boom, we have the first part of our bobber rig complete. And from here, now we can see that we have our bobber stop on our line. That's a variable too. And I'll tell you about how we use this later. But then it comes up to a bead right there, the bobber right there, a little egg sinker right there, another bead protecting that knot, and the knot that goes to the swivel. From here is whenever we're gonna pull out our leader line. Now what I like to do is I like to use my leader line, or I want my leader line to be less strong than my main line. That way, let's say I do hang up on something somehow. If I need to break off, it's gonna break off on the leader line, and I get to keep my slip bobber. Opposed to if it's the same weight line, you could break the line on the leader, you could break the line up here, and there's not so much control over it. For me, I'm gonna be using this mono, and say it's 20, 15, 30 pound test, that's all fine for leader line. My main line's 85 pounds, so it's pretty strong. And it's actually really hard to break 80-pound braid. And that's why I like using an easier line to break in case I have to. It's not impossible. A lot of times it's so hard to cut 80-pound line, you gotta cut it. And depending on how long your cast is, it becomes tougher. But anyways, I'm going ahead and tying my leader line onto my swivel, pulling that tight, and I'm gonna clip off the tag end. From here, you're gonna decide your leader line. With a bobber, you do gotta take this into account, because if your leader line is too long, during the cast, your line may actually accidentally flip up and your hook may hook on this, and it hit the water like that right there where your hook's above your bobber and you may not realize it. So I like to go the length of your bobber or a little less. And plus the catfish don't really care. So that's about a 6-inch bobber. I'm gonna cut me 6 inches of line, and then by the time I tie my hook, it'll be less than that. I'm gonna be using a circle hook. This is the medium size, and I'm just gonna tie this thing on with the same exact knot I used for everything else. Now, I will say this, let's say you don't have any other leader line, and that's all you have. We'll pause for the fish feeder. Maybe we'll get some fish blowing up here behind us, but anyways, what I was saying, if you only have one line to be your main and leader line, you can actually learn some specific knots at different breaking strengths, so that if you tie a weaker knot at your hook, it should break before the other knot. But that's a lot harder than just tying on lesser strength line. So with me, I'm working with 15-pound leader line, 85-pound main line, so that if I do get hung up here, it should break first and I don't have to lose my bobber. because the whole rig right here, as complicated as it is, you don't want to lose that, especially if you don't have to. And here's what makes slip bobber so good. Not only does it have some good weight on it, and it's really aerodynamic so you can sling it, but the slip part of the slip bobber is this bobber stop. If I want to fish 3 feet deep, then I set it 3 feet high, and my bobber can't go any higher than that. And that means your bait is going to be 3 feet under the water. But now let's say you want this 12 feet deep. You can literally run it all the way up to 12 feet, even if you have to reel it through your eyelets, and you're fine there. So right there, let's say I got about 6 feet. With this kind of slip bobber thing, I can reel the bobber stop onto the line or into the rod, and I can still cast it without a problem. And you can see just like that, it casts normal. And the reason, and just like it was supposed to work, I threw it out there, that egg sinker pulled it down through, pulled my line down through the bobber, and then that bobber stopped it. So right there, I'm fishing 6 feet deep, right out there where my bobber's at. That's what's so cool about the slip bobber. And I've even seen people fish it without a bobber stop, to where they're using a bobber to fish on bottom. What do you think about that, Ethan?
I don't like it.
I don't either.
I've tried it, and you kind of got to get used to it. It's a big learning curve. Yeah. To me, it is.
And here's a question you may have. How deep should you actually fish it? And I would say if you can fit, that's a complicated question. It really depends on where the catfish at. But you don't want your bait to be on the bottom. And let me show you how you know that. So if you're using a slip bobber and your bait's on the bottom, first of all, you might as well use a bottom rig. But also, your bobber's not going to be indicating anything for you. I'm going to walk out the deeper water so you can see how the bobber acts how it's supposed to. It acts like this whenever it goes all the way down to the bottom. My bobber is standing straight up and down. It's a little bouncy, which is all good, but it's pointing straight up and down. If you are too shallow, it's going to do this. I'll just drop it right here. Your bobber is going to be sitting sideways. That's because the weight hasn't pulled it all the way up to the bobber stop. So in this case, you either need to cast out deeper, or you can just take your bobber stop. Say you're fishing a flat or something, you can just pull and move your bobber stop down, so that now your bobber is fishing shallower. Was that a fish?
That was a fish.
What is going on? Almost caught a fish right there on the bobber. Something about ate the swivel, boys. If that was a catfish, we'd be in business with him.
Yeah, you pulled it up. I just seen the belly.
I think that was a bass. That's what's crazy. But yeah, guys, that right there is the slip bobber rig. Super effective, and it's the most common way to fish a bobber for catfish. If you're just getting started, start it off about 4 feet. And if you know the water's 8 feet, put it about 6 feet. That way, if the catfish are cruising the bottom, all they gotta do is kind of look up a little bit and come up and take it. What do you think?
That's the one I recommend to anybody.
The what?
If you're fishing still water, that's the only way to go.
The bobber?
Yeah.
Now, if y'all are interested in the catfishing kit we just pulled all that stuff out of, I'm gonna put it first link in the description, and it's got all kinds of different things in here. With this cheat sheet, bunch of different weights, different hooks, even a little Jesus in there with all your terminal tackle. I'll put this first link in the description. But if you wanna learn some more catfishing videos, click right over here. And if you wanna learn that knot, click right over here. Because a good knot is a big deal.